For the 2023 academic year, the University of Namibia wanted to offer 83 transformational and new academic programs at the degree level. However, 17 programs which were scheduled to be offered this academic year have been cancelled as they have not been accredited. Now, to give us more details on this, I'm joined by Dr. Marius Kudumo, Director of Corporate Engagement and International Relations at the University of Namibia. Good evening to you, Dr. Kudumo, and Dr. Kudumo, thank you for being with us tonight.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us.
So help us to understand why the University of Namibia advertised new programs to be offered during 2023 academic year, which were not accredited.
I think for us to understand, let me give a brief background.
Right.
The university has actually transformed the curriculum of all the undergraduate qualifications. 83 of these qualifications were submitted to the Council on Higher Education for accredited. This was in March. The Council on Higher Education, from the end of August till the end of October, carried out the accreditation reviews. In November, they provided the feedback that 64 of this program are accredited and 17 of them are not accredited. Coming to your question, if you look at the time frame, we received this feedback in November. Registration of the university are supposed to start in September or so, and that was the reason for actually advertising this qualification. And I will further explain later that accreditation is a process and not an event.
So are you able to share with us some of these courses that failed the accreditation test and perhaps why they didn't meet the requirements?
Yeah, I think we don't use the language of failing the test.
Right.
What happened is some of these courses, including in agriculture, some few in humanities, as well as some in the accountancy, there were gaps that the review panels have established. That's why we don't use the word failing or passing.
Right.
Now, the next process is to work on those areas that have been identified and to resubmit those programs. As we are speaking now, most of the programs have been resubmitted on the basis of correcting whatever the review panel should have indicated. And obviously, 77% of the program that were submitted has been accredited, including all the programs that were submitted to the professional bodies. They have been accredited. So it's just a small part of the program where there are gaps, and this gap needs to be filled before the council can consider them again.
So what will happen to the students that applied for these new programs, and will they be refunded for the application form?
Look, the issue is the old program are not phased out completely.
Right.
So some of the students, in the case of a program not being accredited, they can opt to do the old program. They can wait, or they already indicated also their second choices. But if there are specific issues that the students have, they can reach out to the university to look at it.
So what are some of the measures put in place by the university to avoid such incidences in the future, seeing that now only 66 of these courses will be offered?
Yeah, look, the review panels produce reports, and these reports are discussed with the Council on Higher Education. Even the review panels provide feedback before they submit their written reports. So what will be done in the future is to look at some of the comments that are coming from the review panel, then address those issues. We must remember that the review look at the aims and objective of this program. Does it respond to the national and global needs? The assessment of this program. It look also the teaching and learning facilities. So it's not a simple thing of just looking at one aspect. So you might fall short in one aspect, and based on the reports, there will always be improvement because the university is a learning institution.
So in closing, Dr. Wakudumo, your assurance, your word of assurance to those who might be panicking at the moment by hearing that there were courses that were not accredited.
Yeah, as I've said, it is 77% of the program have been accredited. In other words, people can study those programs. The programs that are not accredited, most of them have already been reviewed and submitted to the Council on Higher Education for reconsideration. So most of the programs, hopefully those that were not accredited this year, might be accredited in time, or they might be accredited next year for offering. But obviously, the students can fall back on the old program in some instances. So it is important for us to have these accreditation processes because it's a validation of the quality and global competitiveness of the program. So there's nothing to panic about. It's only a small part of the program.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Wakudumo, for speaking to us this evening, and we really appreciate that information.
Thank you.
Well, of course, I've been speaking to Dr. Marius Kudumo. He is the Director of Corporate